Okay, so to begin, this is the 1000 minds decision-making model. Initially, we started right here within the setup tab. Within the setup, we needed as a team to decide the model name. We came up with selecting a restaurant. As you scroll down, there's the activity mode you can follow along with, and also the questions at the decision step, which you'd see later within the steps. The question that we came up with as a team was, which of these two hypothetical alternatives do you prefer? Moving on to the team. There was a group of us. There was 7 of us in the group. This is the tab that shows everybody in the group, along with our access to making the changes in the model that needed to happen. Moving on, there's the criteria. Criteria is extremely important. We did have a lot, but we felt that it was really important to have different types of criteria to consider when looking at different restaurants. As shown, as I scroll through, there's different types of criteria we had created. Some such as cost of meal, dress code, menu options, hospitality. And as we went on in the assignment, we did add a few more. We added reservation capability, online ratings, and ease of parking. Moving on to the next tab is the other factors. The other factors that we decided that would be important to be in addition to our criteria was fast service, dine-in restaurant, and the atmosphere. Moving on to the alternatives. The alternatives is where you will see the different types of restaurants that we wanted to add in. We started with 3, and then as the project continued, we added 3 more. The alternatives we decided to go with was Buffalo Wild Wings, Carrabba's Italian Grill, Culver's, Outback Steakhouse, Panera Bread, and Ruth Chris. This is the area where you can see the alternative, the criteria, and the other factors. This is the point where we were able to go in and change our opinions or our thoughts based off of the criteria that we were asking about the alternative. These are definitely opinionated based off of our experience with the dining restaurants. Next, moving on, is the decisions. This was an interesting tab. This is where, after answering that criteria, we were given 2 sets of examples to consider. And we would have to decide which one we had preferred based off of our preferences. After we had continued and went through our preferences, we had gotten this right here where it said, well done, and we had answered all the questions involving the 2 criteria that we were asked about in each slide. Moving on is the preference values. Preference values was able to give us kind of a breakdown of the importance of the criteria that we had used to determine our decision making. Selecting a restaurant, obviously, is the model name. Online ratings, the menu options, kind of what was most popular in this sense. And it gives you the breakdown here to say what the majority rule was on all of them. And further down, it does show you a chart just so you can get a visual aid on how these were all showcased. You were able to see the ease of parking, the location, menu, online ratings, and so on and so forth. This is just another great tool to be able to see firsthand on how the criteria weighs with each alternative. Next is the ranked alternative. This tab is important because it takes all of the answers that we had selected and it breaks it down into what the most popular vote is. So when making the decision, obviously this is the top score that we received out of all 6 restaurants. And so Culver's had initially become the restaurant that we wanted to focus most on because it did get the top rating. It also does show the criteria, the alternatives, and the other factors also. But what's really important here is the rank and the total scores, just to see how each individual restaurant is showcased. In the selection tab, this is another way that we can use our alternatives and see them in a chart form. You can do lots with this. You can zoom in, try to find out, Fish and Frontiers, low cost. But it does show that Culver's is our initial thought. So going forward, this is our decision model, and we had resulted with Culver's as being the restaurant that we had chosen to go with. This model is really helpful in making decisions, and I definitely recommend it for others who want to make decisions, but also have a lot of factors to consider when doing so.